Welcome to Smart Remarks, home of the outrage! But for how much longer? So Matt Taibbi over at RollingStone.com had an interesting bit last week on how the whole gun debate has turned into yet another example of how the Republican Party is dominated by angry white cranks. Taibbi wrote that in the wake of Sandy Hook, the vast majority of those who've been outraged over the infringement of their Second Amendment rights have been angry white men. In fact, some angry white men have gotten so angry they threaten to do something about it if the federal government comes to take their guns. And Taibbi writes that this plays directly into the Democrats' hands. Quote, the Republicans post-2012 have been staring down the barrel of an increasingly desperate demographic problem that will require the party to find some way to market itself to blacks, Hispanics, women, gays, and other minorities, or else be relegated to permanent minority status. But after Sandy Hook, the Democrats have skillfully painted the Republicans as the party of scary-looking and scary-sounding white maniacs. Well, you know, of course, the Democrats had a little help with that. The Republicans just can't help themselves, frankly. We began doing the whole outrage thing here a little over 4 years ago during the Obama-McCain race. I specifically remember the first time we used it was when the right was going insane over Obama's use of the term lipstick on a pig. They said he was using it, intended to be an insult to Sarah Palin, and they were outraged, and it was the dumbest thing I had ever heard. But dumb like a fox. The Republican base is often outraged. They're outraged about abortion and gays. They're outraged about Obama's birth certificate and the fact that he's a socialist, Muslim, communist, fascist. They're outraged about Hillary and Benghazi. They're outraged about guns. They're outraged about this. They're outraged about that. They're outraged about everything. They are the party of outrage. And if you're a GOP operative, you try to stoke that. But now it's beginning to dawn on some that maybe outrage is a dead end. Over at Media Matters last week, Eric Boehlert wrote about what he called the Fox News outrage model and about how some are beginning to rethink it. He quoted former CNN contributor Eric Erickson, who's now going to Fox News, who writes on the blog redstate.com. Erickson wrote, quote, conservatives, frankly, have become purveyors of outrage instead of preachers for a cause. Who the hell wants to listen to conservatives whining and moaning all the time about the outrage du jour? And I thought, well, me? Heck, it's the bread and butter around here. Also last week, Yahoo News political reporter Chris Moody quoted Robert Bennett, chairman of the Ohio Republican Party, who said, quote, we need to understand that we can't come off as a bunch of angry white men. How dare he say that? Outrage! We've said it time and time again, but we'll say it again. What once made them strong now makes them weak. Republican populist outrage helped propel the party to a generation of dominance, but everything runs its course. Demographically, there are fewer angry white men than there used to be, and of course, that's another reason they're outraged. But the mere fact that we're lampooning this on this show shows that it's spent as a political force. But it's a security blanket, number one, and it's been extremely profitable for the likes of Fox News. They're in the business of selling outrage, and it sells like hotcakes. But you'll notice all the outrage and all their success in the ratings has not translated to Republican control of government. There's a reason for that. And so my advice to the GOP, which of course won't take it, is pipe down. Knock it off with all the outrage. The hostility isn't winning you any converts. Let's have real debates in this country instead of outrage. Because what propels your party? Ideas or anger? You know, the heck of it is there are plenty of things to legitimately be outraged about, but the constant GOP outrage has cheapened outrage as a legitimate political reaction. It's like the boy who cried wolf, the boy who cried outrage, and when everything is an outrage, nothing is an outrage. So here's an idea. Let's bury the outrage. Stick a fork in it, because once it's done, the country itself is better off.